Hmm. What's popping, my people? We, we back at it. It's been a long time, or a short while, but a long while. But we're gonna get right to it, straight to the point. Uh, man, so many things have happened. So many things have taken place that I could speak on. But first, let me just go ahead and just be thankful that I'm still here. You know, thankful that you guys made it. I'm glad that you made it. I salute you. Uh, I lost my father recently. I had to go take him to Toledo, Ohio, and bury him, and lay him to rest. But we back, and now we're gonna talk about this white heaven thing. In white heaven, we all know how it goes, right? They act like that's not where we're at, but that's where we're at. So, if you live in a country right now on this planet, anybody that may ever hear this broadcast, anybody that is anywhere other than what they would call the contingent United States, if you live somewhere else and not a single piece of that land has in some way, shape, or form benefited from chattel slavery, then this point is a moot point and it doesn't have anything to do with you. But straight to the point is this is like these guys are full of shit on levels that you can't even. For example, so my father passed away. I'm trying to get into the storage unit. I've been paying for like a year now, right? And as opposed to them abiding by the state law, well, no matter what their policy is, there's a state law for a reason for when things like this happen. And the state law says one thing, their policy says another, but I'm like, state law trumps that. And what they're doing borders more of a criminal activity than a civil activity. But when you live in white heaven, Washington State is one of the greater vestiges of white heaven where they get to do as they please. Uh, I thought it was, an amazing thing. Our brother went to a spot I hadn't been since I was a little baby. And I was like, these people need me here more than they need me there more than I'm needed here. So, I'm making my moves to get up out of Washington State and get myself to Ohio. But I just laughed to myself. We live in such a situation where we can't even take care of our own affairs without someone else meddling in them and then slowing down all processes that would go with it. So it's one thing for a child or an elderly person to go to the hospital or for a young healthy person to go to the hospital, whatever you say. And and to be in a situation where in which they're waiting to receive treatment or to be triaged, what have you. At the end of the day, they're controlling that process. You don't get to control the process. There is no straight to the point with them. But let me tell you this though. If the shoe's on the other foot, they want you to be as abrupt and as chode as possible. They don't want you to give any sort of analyses. They don't want you to extol. They don't want you to what's the word I'm looking for? Expound on what it is that's being spoke on. But if it's, I won't even say if it's in favor for them. It's just if it's not in favor for you, they'll use it against you. And so, what's up, player? And so whenever they can use it against you, they're gonna do that. You know, that's just how it is. They're gonna say, hey, look. They're gonna say, hey, look. We have a situation where this is our policy. This is how white heaven works, right? Because you can't just go and lay somebody to rest. Like, whatever the fluids, like whatever wherever they truly get the embalming fluid from, like whatever, like, chemical plant from the chemicals or chemicals from the plant. I mean, whatever that process is, like they won't ever tell you, like, hey, just do it like this. You can't. They won't let you do all those things yourself. You know. Oh man, I'm happy to be here, fam. But I really got to break this one down so that way the people understand what they're up against, because you know, a lot of people don't got two pennies to rub together. I'm not even talking smack, man. I'm being real, bro. You know, um, it costs a little less than 12 grand, a little more than 11 to get my father put away, buried away properly, right? So people don't know, like, that'll wipe out your resources. If you're, a lowly, humble person like myself, but it ain't nothing. We rebuild and we come back, and you know, our best has yet to come. We just have to just tap into it. But still, when you do things like that, you go through the whole processes with everybody, and it's funny how it all goes. Uh, I'm I'm just in a situation where I was blessed enough to be able to do something. You know what I'm saying? You know, and, I'm blessed to be in the situation I'm in. But white heaven, straight to the point. Let's hit something across the head. There's an article that was too large for me to put into the actual. It's 205 characters. 200 characters is the most they'll let you put for one of these chats, which I think is kind of weird. But I put it in the description box. Uh, Man who threatened mass shooting against black people left a grisly object in Las Vegas hotel freezer. Now, this is crazy. I want y'all to listen to the levels of this. A Nevada man who allegedly accelerated his car toward the black family in what police said was a racially motivated incident is now facing new charges in relation to a threat to kill black people in a mass shooting. Las Vegas responded Las Vegas police responded to a July 9th stabbing where witnesses say they saw Hunter Holman driving a car on Harmon Avenue and yelling racial slurs to a group of black people that were walking on the sidewalk near Las Vegas Strip. Police arrested Holman on charges of assault with the use of a deadly weapon motivated by bias or hatred towards the victim and child abuse or neglect. Last week, authorities in Arkansas reported that Holman allegedly threatened black people with an AR-15 at a fitness center in Little Rock. Investigators now say Holman has made several racially motivated threats in Las Vegas since at least last summer. One incident from last month, a Las Vegas hotel employee said Holman left a goat head in the freezer with an extension collection of knives. The employee said Holman invited the employee to join his group, stating he is the king of the KKK. Based on Holman's course of conduct, it is apparent he displayed hate, bias toward people of color, specifically black subjects, and has demonstrated the ability to carry out violence against them by demonstrated by his attack in 2022 in July. Detectives wrote in the documents, Holman faces two new charges of hate and bias crime. He paid a surety bond and was released from custody. Listen, straight to the point. These motherfuckers is so dirty that they'll put an article. They'll tell you exactly what they did, right? And they're like, yeah, and we let Whitey go. Come on. If that shit makes sense. Now understand, who knows what this person has actually really done? They've done no real extensive investigation. They couldn't have. People are like, that's all you got to say about it. Man, we about to break it down. We're gonna unpack this dude's whole mentality. So I can guarantee you, this guy doesn't have ancestry in this land for more than 100 years. It's almost guaranteed. Like when you guys start to look at the difference between who does what and what's doing who. And I'm gonna give you a base level example because a lot of people never thought about it like this. Straight to the point. There's more foreign-born whites or Caucasians, Anglos, whatever you may call them, than there are true Plymouth Rock white folks who were here in the beginning. Listen to me now. These dudes who do these things are not people who have ancestors that fought in the Civil War. I'm trying to break it down to you. A lot of these cats just got here 100 years ago, 120 years ago, if you want to give them that. Listen, they got here after 1870. Yeah, and people really don't understand the gravitas. Follow this point. They've brought in hundreds of millions of people throughout the days. All these people weren't just born here. A bunch of these people were brought here. Think about it. So, how many of these people right now with the last name Holman do you really think fought in the Civil War? I don't even. I'm not even going to dignify by looking it up. Not right now because I don't care. But I'm telling you, how many do you think though? Be real. You think more than 1,000? And that's me being generous. You think less than 100? And that's me being still generous, but not unrealistic. However, because people believe fanciful things, we can't even get straight to the point without people getting upset about it. That's how the world is built. See, we live in a time where if you tell the truth, and people got to recognize I don't have to ever make videos. The reason why is because I hear everything I've been saying for years. Other people are just now starting to say it. So I'm content with going around and listening to my children speak. Having said that, having said that, the straight to the point, the matter of fact thing is that it's a sad sight to see when you understand what you're up against, and other people will not act as if. So, for example, they'll tell you that our ancestors mortgaged our future, but they won't exactly tell you how. And then the things that they say are base level things. They say that lasciviousness is what made most of them trample all over whatever chance that the people should have had. I'll give you a base level example. They call it interracial sexual access, chasing after sex, right? And we'll get back to some points in a second. What I find awkwardly amazing is that the same individuals who I can almost guarantee you in most cases is just like the guy who shot up the Buffalo Market. Do people know that that dude is some kind of Muslim, some kind of Anwari type name dude? Word? And they want to act like that's just a regular, John Smith, so-called hater. But they can't even distinguish the things that they're looking at. They don't really understand, y'all. I need you guys to really put this into your minds. They gave up not for interracial sexual access, they mortgaged your future for the here and now benefits of what they could get. Right. No one can predict the future. No one. But it's easy to do something when you don't have to pay for it. Every time. People talk about how if they just get a job. Listen. I'm gonna apply my hand to see if they'll actually put me on in one of these unions out here. We'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. But the point is this. But while I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna still be working a regular job. But the point is this. Do you guys really think that I think that I stand a chance when they'll let somebody who threatened to kill black people, tried to run a whole black family over, is facing charges for it right now? They'll let them go on a surety bond? One moment. Sometimes people think I'm just. One moment. So he's out on a either a contract, judicial, probate court bond, and or commercial bond, right? There's four different types of them. But it's in a simple agreement between three parties: principal, surety, and obligee. Just need y'all to understand. How hard is it to control something? How are you not in your heaven when you can do that? Just follow me. So he has to kill somebody in order for him to be a true threat to society, huh? Doesn't matter if they say that he can't have weapons. Did they make it to where he can't drive vehicles? Like, I mean, to what degree is this man's agency been stunted and affected? Because here's the real big issue. If you don't tell him he can't do something, he's going to do it. Right. But why was he even let free? Because we live in white heaven. To be straight to the point. I was reading an article about how China was like sending, they sent some warships and they sent some planes over to Taiwan and whoop de wop. And I was like, if they invade these dudes, if they can't say I didn't tell them, I told them. It's not that I told them so, but I told them. What do these guys really think is coming from this whole thing, man? White heaven has no known friends, not one. And yet the people want to rebuild it. I just want the people to do the right thing until the Most High God gets back, which is survive long enough to see the glory. See, they're scared because in the middle of my trials and tribulations, I didn't waver from what I believed in. I clung to it even more greatly, became even more associated with what I believe in, and will not stray from it. It's easy to be a coward. It really is. It takes very little conviction because your convictions change as the circumstances change. That's the truth. I'm being honest. But it's difficult to actually be a man that stands on principle, that is courageous, that has no fear in what anyone shall bring to them. See, blessed be the Most High God. I just have to say this right here. We live in white heaven, and white heaven is decaying. And this is all straight to the point. We're not tarrying around with any long models of their history. We need not, because we know what we're up against. I think the people know what they're up against. I just think that they're afraid to say it. See, white heaven has created these monstrosities of the people and the so-called said to be peoples who may not truly be the peoples. Yes, that being put forth, that being said, that we are in a position where the stark contrast or the difference, the dichotomy has to be exposed. See, straight to the point means I need not tell them about when it says to be straight to the point means to be frank, right? And I laugh. The people who know how I feel about the Franks may have seen that as some sort of inside joke or jab, or maybe it went right over their head. But I meant for that to be frank part, to be frank part, to be straight up is to be them, huh? But they're not straight up. They're not honest. They're not forward. In fact, they're the opposite. So to be straight up is to be anything other to be frank. Right. This is why I laugh. A pervert has been no more up for it than a person who's not a pervert who has the same intent. No less safe for a murderer to a killer. Right. So when we're in a land where they have already have an intent likened to something else, they can tell you or me whatever they want to from their lips. But if they do not honor, this is why the book of Enoch anything. That's why I always say, in my description box, I cannot confirm my own goodwill. Real quick. RCW 59.18.595. Death of a tenant, landlord duties, disposition of property procedures, liability. In the event of the death of a tenant who is the sole occupant of the dwelling unit, A, the landlord, upon learning the death of the tenant, shall promptly mail or personally deliver written notice to any known personal representative, known designated person, emergency contact identified by the tenant on the rental application, known personally reasonably to be a successor of the tenant as defined in RCW 11.62.005, and to the deceased tenant at the address dwelling of the unit. If the landlord knows any of the address used for the receipt of electronic communications, the landlord shall email the notice to the address as well. That notice must include the name of the deceased tenant and the address of dwelling unit, the approximate date of the deceased tenant's death, the rental amount, and the date through which rent is paid. A statement that the tenancy will terminate 15 days from the date the notice is mailed and person delivered, or the date through which the rent is paid, whichever comes later, unless during that time period a tenant representative makes arrangement with the landlord to pay rent in advance for no more than 60 days from the date of the tenant's death, to allow a tenant representative to arrange for orderly removal of the tenant's property. At the end of the period for which the rent has been paid pursuant to this rejection, the tenancy ends. A failure to remove the tenant's property from the tenancy is terminated or ends as provided of the subsection will allow the landlord to enter the dwelling and take possession of any property found on the premises, stored in a reasonably secure place, and charge the actual or reasonable cost, whichever is less, of a dryage and a storage on a property. After a service of second notice to sell or dispose of property is provided in subsection of this section. La-di-dod, la-di-dod, la-di-dod. All that being said, if I'm the person who's supposed to do all these things and I'm the emergency contact for my father, everything else I've taken care of. Right on. Took the man home, had him buried. I couldn't even get into his storage unit so that way I could get him one of his really nice suits. Had to go buy him a suit, extra stuff. So when you in white heaven, once again, when you're in white heaven, they're not on your team. They're not trying to help you. Even though that's what the law says. I told them when my father passed away, I still haven't gotten any kind of written mail notice from them. I had to pay the rent the other day, today, just to make sure that, they don't try to do anything extra funny. But now I got to get the law involved because it's like they're trying to commit an act of theft. Right. They're trying to wait me out all the rest of the days of this month and then next month say, well, it's been 60 days. Boom. We're going to try to take everything and then sell whatever we can, keep whatever we want. No, that's bullshit. But see, this is the kind of situation they'll put you in, white hat. And I ain't did nothing to nobody. I've been cool about it. I'm still waiting for the toxicology report to come back and all this other extra stuff. Once again, things you have to. If I was somebody else, I wouldn't have to wait like this. I'll say it like that. If I was somebody else, I wouldn't have to wait like this. If I didn't look like this, I wouldn't have to wait like this. But they want you to kiss their ass. Don't. Don't ever let these suckers try to play you, man. I don't care what they talking about because at the end of the day, they still have to go and be judged. Word? And eventually it's going to be them who's passing over. So all you have to do is wait them out in your own ways, but not just waiting them out, but just seeing through that you don't bring yourself to your own demise. You know, Straight to the point is me not getting carried away once again with the fact that these guys have tried to play your boy, but I know I'm not the only one that they're trying to play. Black people who work at these jobs as professionals who can't get the righteous uh uh upward mobility, right on, that they deserve at the job place. Word, these are the people who sacrificed everything 50, 60 years ago. The guys who got to a certain level in the company, but they never got to the highest levels. And that was done on purpose. And they understood it, but they accepted that. And by them accepting that, they forfeited and they they uh they mortgaged the future of the other generations to come after them. They didn't bless them. It's never a blessing if you come after someone and they put you in a situation that you didn't have to be in. That's not a blessing. So you have a lot of people who are 50 and 60 years old who own homes, right? And I want y'all to really be real with me. How many of these people really have I mean, do the math with me. How can all these dudes be living somewhere, have a so-called whatever kind of paying job, have a house, and don't got no I need y'all to start to do the math. If only so many percent of black people so-called have home or even into a home ownership, what do you think some of them are? Okay, all of them don't have regular jobs. Right. They can't. It's impossible. Some of the places that black people live to this day, a lot of people are sequestered into projects. A lot of people are sequestered into into the what you call them high rises and the likes. Right. So I'm trying to figure out because and people make me laugh. There's so many folks out here who are doing things they got no business doing, and they're able to come up, but then they go down. And White Heaven wants it to be like that because they want the person that they catch to be the drug dealer. So that way everybody looks at you crazy, like, oh, is he really just selling dope on the side? Is that how he's really getting by? As opposed to you having a job where you actually are responsible with your finances and you're able to afford where you live at. That can't be the case. You see what I'm saying? They won't let it be the case. And if they do let it be the case, for how long? They're always gonna think something about a nigga. That's just how they are. But straight to the point again, these dudes mortgaged everything, not for and not for the interracial stuff, so they could have a house just to say that they had a house. That's the facts. They mortgage it all. They don't really believe in the Most High God. See, here's how I know. They mortgaged your future, my future, your children's future. I'm talking about people who are going on 80. Word. They mortgaged it all out. And they didn't understand the devastating consequences. None of them could have known that crack cocaine was coming 20 years after they started to do all that. Right. They couldn't have known. And for those of them who kind of had an idea of what was kind of going on with black people in the urbanite communities, and then in some of the semi-country urban places, I think that there's a common misconception about what it is that black people expected to take place, because most black people had that revolutionary mindset going into the 80s, and then crack just took over, and that was kind of it. And there was a miniature resurgence in the 90s once people realized the damage that crack had done, but by then gangs had taken over, and that was really it. And so the gang violence, superseded the drug violence, and it became to the point to where some of the colors y'all see me wearing right now, people really didn't even wear in certain neighborhoods in America for a long time, scared to get hurt because there was young individuals who were that that willfully hateful that they could take and disregard the life of another person and treat it as if it were literally nothing. And because you have this concept and the fact that black people really try to escape the idea that they mortgage the future of their children. Listen, it's never going to get better in America. It's never going to get better in America. Never. These guys make me laugh. Like I said, there's going to be some pseudo whatever type of thing, but it could never get better. All the writing is on the wall. They're trying to extradite El Chapo's son up here. Now, to me, that's just asking for trouble. But in white heaven, when you really think that you got it like that, you'll do stupid stuff like that. Who knows? Would the cartel try to break these dudes out of a supermax freaking penitentiary system? If there's enough inside workers to do it, I bet you they would. Right. So I'm just like, go ahead, extradite dude over here. Because I want to see how this plays out. Because it can't end well. It cannot end well. I need people to understand when you remove a fixture from somewhere, it has a devastating effect on the neighborhood or the environment or the community. You know what I'm saying? The ecosystem will always, it'll reverberate forever. It will never ever heal from that thing. Um, and you have a lot of individuals who they're in that position. You know, a lot of people have, they don't have to do for me what they did for somebody's great grandparents or for their grandparents or just for their parents. Right. When you have black people who literally will say out of their mouths that white folks should be tired of trying to help black people, first and foremost, you can't help somebody that did everything for you. Like, let's put everything in order, straight to the point. Black people created everything that people enjoy, have their hands all over it, their spirits and souls all in it, their blood, sweat, and tears, okay, invested. And for anyone to try to say helping black people, it's a straight dishonorable statement to let flow out of their mouth and to let their tongue and their lips vibrate that frequency. Straight up. And they ought to be ashamed of themselves. Help, huh? How can you help someone that is the reason you have all that you have? How could man help God? And how could something that's not even a man help a man that gave them all that they have? It doesn't even make sense. It's the most despicable and dishonorable thing that people could adhere to. But they do because they're so scared to death of their own shadows that if they have to stand up for the right thing just one time in their life, if it means it would cost them a grunion, a sardine, an anchovy of their wealth, it cannot be done. It's crazy. See, you have to go for broke in this land. You can't be afraid to go for it. There is no love for the unwilling in this land. And you'll only get so much pity. So you can't look for pity. You have to create opportunities with the skill set that you've developed over a period of time throughout your life. Straight to the point. They mortgaged what you are going to have in the future because they once again, it's one thing to talk about people who come from foreign nations. It's another thing for us to not adhere to greater values. For every con man or con woman of the so-called Afro people, right on, of the people who, in other terms, might not be Afro people, but claim to be of an indigenous root stock of the land. Shame on them to engage in activities that were not meant to put food on the table, but coffers in their pockets. They're no different than the people that they complain about. So-called people. They're even worse because they understand the situation that their people are in. The same wicked people will sell their own people, trash and poison. Too lazy to get a tester kit to make sure that it's not cut with something that they wouldn't give to anybody before this. Right. Because that's too much to do. To actually test the purity of what they have is way too much work. People die from it, they die. Really. That's just how it is. You got to be able to be the one to have the greater sense. You can't let them think for you, y'all. I can't think for you. I damn sure ain't trying to. I'm just projecting things that I perceive already in the works are already taking place or have taken place. It's just what it is. People don't want to hear the fact that their grandparents gave up everything. So look, the destitution. Look at the destitution of the people right now. It's not greater. It's not great. It's not greater, nor is it worse than it ever was. If you've always owned less than a certain amount of wealth, it has never been. It only seems worse because now you get to see all the dysfunction that's taken place throughout the years that you wouldn't typically hear about. It's the same dysfunction. But like I said, when y'all talk about individuals who hate you in this land, most of them who do not look like you are not from this land and have not been here in a familial term for more than 100 years. That's a fact. Your president comes from Irish immigrants. Immigrant. Immigrante. Yeah. So the president before him too. And the president before that came from a Kenyan dude. Right. Hear what I'm saying, man. Y'all can't play with how I see it and perceive it. Right. It's been such a long time that anybody stood back and just looked at it all and said, you know what? Really straight down to the nitty grit. You know what I'm saying? Real, that's right. Straight to the point, straight up. This shit, people don't even perceive it like this. They're like, oh man, nigga, you just where you at and that's where you at. And I'm just like, that may be the case for now, but let's just really be real with ourselves. Do y'all think that white heaven is gonna afford the next generation of Afro children half the chance that you were afforded? Look at the condition of the earth right now. Do you really think that they have half the chance that you had? Be real. Be totally honest. Why are there so many people that say that they wouldn't want to raise children in this environment then? I'm trying to understand if things have gotten better, if things are advancing, if things are totally changing around and people are, every day there's progress made. Why are people such in fear of having children these days? Huh? If the future truly was not mortgaged by one generation of group of people that spans from the mid 40s, okay, to the mid 60s, to the late 60s almost, that there's a group of individuals who literally they mortgaged all that would ever be had. And they made sure that the entertainers and the athletes and the other ones were the people. Listen, y'all got to understand now. You don't root on the garbage man, do you? But those landfills are filling up. They don't have ways to get rid of it. People are having their children in a football camp as opposed to trying to find ways to get rid of the trash. And then they'll say that's the government's job. I need y'all to understand, like you're living amongst those who are suffering from mental illnesses at the highest level. They're not capable of full-blown thought. If they were, they could perceive this. They gave up all that we're going to have, y'all, for a stale ham sandwich. Hmm. For a stale ham sandwich, they gave it all up. That's the facts. If people want to get mad or get angry, whatever, I don't care. A bunch of these brothers and sisters, like I said, don't got two pennies to rub together and would have put their parent in the furnace and burnt them up if they could have even done that. Right. Dressed my father, purchased his casket, sent him home. Was one of his pallbearers, obviously. Right. Watch the whole process go through. So when people say things or that they just don't understand, it's like, first and foremost, you know, bunch of these little dudes ain't got they don't got no money to even throw at a situation like that. They just don't. So they can't understand. It's like, I'm not talking from a point of view of a nigga that ain't never seen no money and ain't never gonna see it again. I'm talking from a point of view of a nigga who's like, look, yo, I just really had to go through and experience some stuff. Got showed more love in my life in a 10-day period than I ever been shown in the state of Washington. Let that sink in. Come on. Got to go back. Got to leave this place. I'm kicking over this popsicle stand when I go. That's just the way it is. Taking my talents, my skills, and my abilities elsewhere. Right. But I'm not waiting for something to happen. I'm going to proactively speak out against these things that people do and that they see. I don't have to be in your business. If I say something that strikes a nerve to you, that's too damn bad. Like that part in Holes where the little girl is, she's like, Granddaddy, I'm tired of digging. And he's like, that's too damn bad. Keep digging. He said, you'll thank me one day. And that's exactly what the white dude said. That's too damn bad, though. And that's how I feel. They'll thank me one day. Straight up. I feel like that. I know that's the truth. They gonna thank me one day and be like, damn, Meech, man, you really gave a nigga some real game. And I tried to throw it away. I tried to get rid of it. I tried to dump it all out, but now I'm seeing what you were saying. Right. I don't have to give these people no history lessons. I don't owe them no history lessons. They better go back and check the catalog. They want one of them. This is white heaven we talking about. We don't try to play you every single time they get a chance. Listen, did y'all know that when the day I got the call that my father was deceased, I went to work that same day. I worked, didn't bother nobody, didn't say nothing to nobody. Do y'all know? Not even a whole 7 day period later, so called 7 day period, I was relieved of my duty. I didn't do anything wrong at the job place. There was a disagreement about my perceived about how they perceive me. And then when I called the management the next day, the individual had the nerve to tell me that I had a victim's mentality. Mind you, the fact this is coming from an individual whose last name is like Mick Sorley or Mick Sarley or something like that. Mick couldn't do a damn thing where I'm from, right? Can you hear me? Mick washed up has-beens. Mick, I wish I was black. Those type of motherfuckers. Because they ain't never did nothing for themselves. So damn sorry that they couldn't even grow fucking potatoes. Let that sink in, niggas. So damn sorry. Couldn't even grow fucking potatoes. Nothing. On plush ass land. That's right. You've been killing each other for so long, the land was ruined and it needed time to heal. I forgot. Same retards will say, what makes the grass grow? Blood. This ain't no knock. This is just what it is. See, I've been living in white heaven for so long, I just realized, like, being behind enemy lines don't mean nothing to nobody. Cause they ain't really behind enemy lines like me. They in them little black coves. What happens when they come though, yo? What happens when the comfort is taken away from the people? They've lived in black cities for forever. Word. That's just like they don't understand. Like, nigga, you ain't never had to deal with white folks like this. They deal with white folks in passing, but they don't have to be all the way around them all the time. They don't understand. It's really like I'm being held hostage. It's really, really like that. I'm behind enemy lines in this motherfucker, and it's like straight to the point. You feel me? I'm just ready to go home, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to leave this land, y'all. I'm ready to go home. I'm ready for the Most High God to come out. I don't care how it has to happen. Word. I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to leave this place. They've taken a lot from me. It's taken very much from me. Your parents, your mother and your father are the first loves of your life, no matter what you think, especially if you know them and you were raised with them. And like I told y'all, a parent is a natural leader. A father is a leader by default. I said this a long time ago. So nothing that I'm saying is a surprise. You know, if you don't love your beloved kin, right on, the way that the ancients love theirs, if you don't have a concept of that, there's something wrong. That's because you've been in this land too long. And white heaven has tentacles all into your soul and your spirit, and you need to remove them before they bring you down. I'm blessing you. I'm speaking life on you. I'm just talking about what's to be talked about because a lot of people don't want to hear it. We're not here for the drama, y'all. Listen, when I was out of town, and we're gonna end on these notes. When I was out of town, everybody was talking about, man, you need to be a preacher. You know, you ignoring your calling and la di da. And I'm just like, the truth be told, what if I have been not wanting to do something like that because I feel like, well, because I know that unless you can prove you're actually a Levite, you shouldn't be trying to preach or teach anything from the scripture. And at this point, I feel like if I'm going to teach anything, it's that we haven't been doing what's right. You know, the reason why we're here is because the people didn't do that which is right. They did that which was wrong. And until we can come to a conclusion where, you know what, they did do that which was wrong. They did sin. They did put themselves here. They were supposed to have uh, generational wealth, as people call it, i.e., the inheritance. There was laws and statutes and ordinances that were given to the people for them to follow, that they would conduct themselves righteously. And when I realized how much of the scripture that I was inundated with, and I'm looking for a passage now where it talks about when you depart from wickedness, pretty much don't return to it. I can't find it now, but I'll find it in a little while. I just have to just bust open the scripture and just, you know, I'll see it. It'll just come up out of nowhere. That's how it typically is. But I'm at that point where I just know y'all, like, I have to tell you guys what's for real. Like, they they did something a long time ago and they gave up everything. A lot of people don't have aunties and uncles who really marched with King, who really did stuff. You feel me? Went to prison camps for 3 days, type of stuff, as teenagers, who were part of that generation of people who feel like it's so important to vote. But the thing is why? Like, make it make sense. Like, make it make sense. It doesn't. And can't nobody make it make sense. And it's completely fucking backwards. The fact that we even need to have ever been in that position, it doesn't even fucking make sense. And can't nobody make it make sense. They mortgaged our future for the idea and perception that we could change something. Do y'all realize they stole our hearts and our minds and our souls away from the Most High God? Our ancestors did this. They led us astray. Living ancestors. They have nice homes now. They have nice cars. They have beautiful families. They have accomplishments in this land that they feel that they should be proud of. And for what? For what? Ask yourself this: would it have been better for us to have been enslaved and to never have seen the crack epidemic? To have never been exposed to heroin? To have never seen the destruction that rap has done to our people? To have never become slaves now to the internet and the idea and the sensation of some sort of overnight fame, or catapulted into a tax bracket that we never ever existed in and more than likely never would have ever been introduced to? Is it truly better that we're here in this junction, in this point, where we feel as if we don't even need to be rescued? How don't you need to be rescued, and yet you're still talking about racism? And out of the same privy member sucking lips, they'll say it's 2023, and yet you're talking about things your ancestors were crying and dying over 100 years ago. They got a touch screen phone, and yet they're still racist. Let that sink in. Why? Because they're not from here. Y'all forget that. Those ones who were here from the very get-go and been here for much longer, it's a greater chance that they have a black person in their family. Naturally so. Right. We're not talking about some dude who came from another place and got a white chick pregnant. We're talking about niggas that had been here, females and males that had been here, bred into or bred in certain bloodlines. Right. That's a fact. What? How do you think it's been this way for so long? Ain't no nigga lovers without nigga lovers. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me repeat myself. There ain't no nigga lovers without nigga lovers. They kind of have to be there in order for that to be a legitimate term. There got to be, well, Republicans who are in favor of black people in order for them to be black Republicans. Unless you're talking about actual senatorial bodies who may have been accused of being black people. It's again straight to the point. They mortgaged everything we have. The trillion that I'm talking about, they ain't gonna ever be able to get that now. They mortgaged it away. And like I told y'all, for mine, I need something other than fiat cash. I'm gonna need the gold, the silver, the carbuncle, the rubies, the sapphires, the jades, the emeralds, the topazes, the amethyst. Okay, I'm gonna need it all. All right, I'm going to need it all. I'm gonna need all the amber you got, all the nickel you got. Okay, I want the uranium, the plutonium. Okay, I want it all. I want the lithium. Give it to me. Okay, I want the myrrh, the stacked. I want it all, and I want it trillions worth. Otherwise, we got nothing to talk about. I don't back off of my demands. My demands aren't met, my cooperation won't be had. It's real simple. Wow. I don't have to cooperate. I choose to cooperate. But whenever I walk away from a situation, it's more devastating than it is when they just let me go. I'm walking away from this state. I'm out of there. I never tried to go back to Pioneer Square. I never tried. It's terrible now. Seattle's a terrible place to live. And they're charging people outrageous New York prices to live there. I'm not going out like that. I'm not stupid. I'm smarter than that. I'm gonna do what I have to do, and I'm gonna get up out this state, and then I'm gonna go down to a place like the great city of Toledo, where my services are truly needed, where there's young brothers who I can see they just need an opportunity. That's all they need. They need an opportunity. Straight to the point. Because all their opportunities were mortgaged away by those who chose not to do right and chose to do that which they knew was wrong. Factory town where these dudes don't want to do the factory work. You got to want to work. You got to want to have something. See, when people say they drove by a building and they helped make that or they helped do this, I feel the same way about everything else that I do in my whole life. But when I go around the city and I'm like, man, I used to stay there. I helped do this, this, and this, and this. I know what it's like to see longevity of productive decisions. But that doesn't mean that I'm meant to stay in this place, and I won't be captivated by the moment. What was taken from the people can never be returned to them. What the people gave away willingly, they will never get back. It's their own fault. It's our own fault, most of us, because we don't tell them what we know to be the truth. Too uncomfortable with the thought of being uncomfortable around those that need to be made uncomfortable, that we can find true comfort. See, it says that we are to seek peace and to pursue it. To pursue peace means that anything that is an enemy of peace must be removed and eradicated. It's a base level understanding. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to be forcefully removed, but the plan of action or the intent of removal must be made clear. And we must be ready to remove a mindset that has crippled the people now for the last 60 going on 70 years. You were not free at last. The God Almighty has not freed you from anything. You can't even collect rainwater in your state. Do not tell me you are free. You do not own land unregulated by the government. Do not tell me you are free. And because you have aggrandized and grandiosoed your agency into the thought and belief of freedom, you feel as if I'm trying to bring down the party and the feel good movement. There's nothing to feel good about with the people when you know that they are so far behind that catching up seems almost like a dream. I'm not saying that we're done as a people. I'm saying that if they continue this road, the chances of survival for any will be made slim to none. And Slim just left town. I'm telling you, we're in bad shape. We're in bad shape, people. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I say it calmly. I'm not aggravated, angry. I'm not indignant towards you. I feel no slight towards the people. I feel love towards the people. But there is a responsibility and an obligation I have towards my people that I have to speak on such matters. They gave away all of whatever it is that we're supposed to have. We will never have it. The Tell me when somebody making music, not selling a CD, put food on the table. It never did. Right. This is why that term starving artist is such a relevant thing, because there are so many people who have skills and abilities that do not produce uh tangible means. something that you can eat. If what you do puts food on the table, what can they really say about you? Nothing. See, this is why money has made individuals immune from their lackluster decision making. You don't need to be a husbandman or a shepherd or anything of the like if you can pay someone else to do all these things and to bring these conveniences to you. It's really a sad situation that black people are in. See, I laugh. Tomorrow's the second. I'm waiting for the third. I don't have to wait now till the next month. Once the moon is full and I have a complete picture of it, I make this video. It's the last lesson of the luminaries I need to make. The point will be proven. Prove to me that the days are not off. We, the full moon should happen on the same day every month if the days are properly recorded. But they weren't, and they're not. So that's what happens. Yeah. So that's what happens. They're not properly recorded. So then people believe things that they would not normally believe. And then for me to speak on it doesn't really change anything because they still believed it in the first place. So why should I feel obligated to change in their mind? Right. That's foolishness. There's a blessing coming, and I can't wait to see what it is. I don't know if it's going to be China invading the hell out of Taiwan, tearing their ass up, or there being some things that spill all the way over. I can't say what the factions or the parties are, but it seems like there's some serious beefs in the United States right now, south of the border, that are heating up. I just can't wait to see. Everybody can't lose. America can't win all these battles now, y'all. I know as much as they wish they could, they won't. Like I said, my services are no longer available for this country. So it don't matter. That somebody invade this bitch, as long as they don't shoot at me and try to fuck me up, I'm not involved in nothing. No, I don't care. Or go get some of these dudes who came from another country to fight for you. Make them prove their loyalty. I already served in the military and it didn't do no justice to my life. So that's where we at. Did no justice to my life. White heaven, to the point, straight to the point, straight up. I just need people to understand we are in a time where we need to just be honest with ourselves. Do you really don't believe that they put us here? Our ancestors in this land, some of them are aunties and uncles, some of them are grandmothers and grandfathers. They put us here. They put us in these positions. How does that work? And we don't have anything to show for it. Everything a person has can be wiped away in one moment. Banks only insure up to like a quarter million or whatever. However, yeah, I want to say like a quarter million. They don't insure all your money. So it's like once again, think about what I'm saying. It's never guaranteed. Anything can happen. This whole thing is rigged. The whole thing is rigged. It's all the way rigged. White heaven has always been like that. When we get back to it a little bit later, y'all gonna realize, like, yeah, okay, he gonna come with a couple of these little pieces, these hit pieces, but I have nothing to prove to nobody, man. I know what I'm talking about. They'd try to fucking play you. I read to y'all the RCW, Death of a Tenant. They don't care about none of that stuff. If you, if they can find a way to squeeze blood out of a turnip, they're gonna try to find a way to do it. And that's just the unfortunate reality and actuality that we're in. But I feel blessed. I know I'm blessed. I got to meet all my people I ain't seen in almost 3 decades. And it was just a blessing and an honor to be around my people. And I got to see that I was needed more there than I am here. Brothers and sisters, I salute you. Salute you again. And I salute you once more. I hope that tomorrow is better than today and that your next week is better than your last. Just remember, hey, Corey Tyler, my brother, we gonna do what we gotta do, fam. I appreciate you. The prayers most definitely helped the brother. I just remember that this is that I'm back full time because apparently I can't cast my lot just yet to being done. So we're gonna take care of business, man. But like I told these dudes, and I tell them straight up, I can go around and listen to my children all day talk about talking points I've been made, but we need to go forward and really talk about something that they brought up, but they brought up in a way that they don't want to talk about because they're part of they benefited in ways and they don't want to speak on it because I know it's hurtful and it's painful, but we got to talk about how they really put us in this position, and our only way out is the Most High God. Man, I appreciate you, bro. I love you, man. I love all my people. Y'all know I love y'all. Be good.